All right. Welcome back, guys. This is Sarah.
I'm Erika.
Do I remember my name? I don't know. We are understaffed. It's been a week.
Yes. This is Living Understaffed, a podcast about not having enough hands or hours, and when your best just isn't very good. I speak for all of us, except for Senior Rock'n'Old. We all know him. We all love him. He deliberately made me understaffed. I sent Sarah a video last night of him spreading trash all over my house, which was super cool. He ate an entire crockpot full of chicken, and he spread the trash all over the place, made himself a little nest around his dog bed, and I came home and he's just like chomping on his bone, looking at me, having the best time. He tipped over an entire crockpot full of chicken and ate it all. 5 pounds worth of chicken. By the way, he's laying down right next to me. He's great. He's just looking at me like, I don't know what I did. I'm great. You're welcome. And if anybody has a dog that does this and you know how this happens, please enlighten me, because my dog, my sweet prince, my best boy, took a piece of junk mail off of my kitchen table, brought it into the bathroom where the toilet lid was closed, and put it in the toilet.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so the mail was where? It was on the table?
Yes. And it was in a pile. So he just took one piece, brought it to the bathroom, I know he knows how to like lift the lid up, and he put it in there. I just don't know. We refer to his brain as the gummy worms because there's no thoughts in there. It's just vibes. But at the same time, I'm like, what is going on? What?
Did he put his paws up on the table and try to like paw at the other mail? Like, was there pieces on the floor at all?
Nope. I know he knows how to get stuff off the table and the counter. He
of
does
course
that pretty regularly. But what I don't understand is why, like, I know he knows how to lift the lid up in the toilet because he drinks out of the toilet all the time because he's a gross dog. And I know he knows how to get stuff off the counter because he does it all the time because he's an asshole. But I don't like why, because usually if he takes something off the counter, it's because he wants to eat it or chew on it or whatever. No.
Right.
No.
But why put it in the toilet?
Exactly.
First of all, what kind of spam mail was it? Was it like credit card offer? Was it?
It was
what kind of spam was
my
it?
bank statement. Because I just look at it online.
That's not spam, you jackass.
It counts as junk mail to me. I'm not going to open it. I'm going to throw it in the recycling.
You're so funny. Like, in my head, I'm like, oh, it's like Alaska Airlines offering you 30,000, airline miles. And Rocky was like, fuck the Alaska Airlines. Fuck this shit. No, it's your fucking bank statement.
Yeah.
No. Like,
it all goes in the same pile. It could have been anything. I just don't like. My dog is a skinwalker. You will never change my mind.
That was my next comment, is like, he's absolutely a shapeshifter.
Yes.
And what, like, I don't understand him at all.
He's actually just a werewolf, and he's just conned us into giving him the best life in the entire world. That's all. Yeah, he knows I'm talking about him.
And he's a combat veteran. So like, he's also like, he's living a good life right now.
I might
That's
live
hilarious.
Sitting here.
What else is going on this week?
Sorry, Rocky's just sitting here farting. I'm like, I might just let him out because I can't do this for an hour. just basic regular work stuff. One of my colleagues is she's out of the office. She's on maternity leave. Or she's like pre-maternity leave. So she's teleworking, and she's she's due in like 2 or 3 weeks. So we're like sort of transitioning her stuff over to me. So I'm doing the work of 2 people,
Right.
which is, I mean, it's necessary because somebody's got to do it, but it's just like,
how's your spreadsheet working out to track all of her stuff too? Going well?
yeah, of course it is. Although we got a new lieutenant.
It's the best feeling ever.
And he was like, oh, I have to, sergeant, our detachment sergeant was like, he's going to do it. And I'm like, cool. Do you want my spreadsheet? And he's like, oh yeah, that'd be great. And I was like, okay. And I was telling him all about my spreadsheet. And he's like, I don't know, that sounds too smart for me. And I'm like, can you just appreciate my spreadsheet, please and thank you?
Can you get on the same page though? Because I also need to be able to function.
Yes.
So
please just enter the numbers in and send it to me.
My goodness.
Keep it up, please and thank you.
That would be super. Sorry.
How have you been understaffed? No, it's fine. I was really just talking. I didn't even need you to
my week has been a little bananas. I kind of talked about it last week that we had a bunch of new students come in, and so the big group of students is like 10 different countries or 9 different countries, but then we had 3 more classes come in on top of it, and it's smaller classes. But just this week with in processing, which is the majority of like my department, we had 6 different in processing schedules. And it was like, okay, just for a single week. You know, next week is just as crazy, but like just for this week, it's 6 different schedules. We were a little physically understaffed, but also mentally understaffed because we also had 3 graduations and it was almost 30 students. So then, you know, all of the paperwork on the back end where it's like, you know, they're out processing stuff and their flights to go back to whatever home country they're from and like all of these like moving pieces, right? And so come third, because all 3 graduations were 1 on Thursday, 2 on Friday, and then all of the in processing schedules. Plus, it was the holiday Monday or whatever. So I'm like, okay, it's a short week. It's 6 different schedules. I think we're up to 15 or 16 different countries. So then everybody's got all their paperwork and there's all these, you know, language barriers and like everybody speaks English, but then they have to take the English language exam and there's like all of this stuff, right? And so come Friday afternoon, there was some paperwork that certain students didn't get before they actually left the office to like go back to their hotel and pack. And so I was like, don't worry about it. I literally have to drive by your hotel to go to my own home. So I'm like, I'll swing by the hotel, I'll drop this paperwork off to you and then, you know, see you later. Like that'll be it, you know? And so I go to one hotel, I drop off paperwork for 4 different students, forgetting that one of them was still at that hotel. Totally forgetting him, going over to the apartments and was dropped off another packet of paperwork to this other student. And then I started driving home. The one student from that first hotel texts me and he's like, hey, just letting you know, I'm in this, you know, I'm at the hotel. And I'm like, oh God, okay, all right. So I got to turn around and go back to drop his off. Well, then I wasn't like feeling the greatest because it was also a super long day and super overwhelming. I wasn't feeling the greatest. So I was like, I'm just going to go home. So I get home. It's like maybe 6. I was like, I'm going to take a nap. It's Friday afternoon. I don't have to work tomorrow. Like, I'm going to take a fucking nap. I slept from 6:30 to 12:30 a.m. 6 hours, which is a lot of sleep for me in general. I was awake all fucking night. All night. And I just like watched Netflix and played games on my phone, hoping that I would like get tired and like fall asleep again because it's nighttime. Nope. Wide the fuck awake. So I'm like, all right. So yesterday I was all, like trying to catch up and like, okay, I'm going to take a midday nap. Nope. I ended up being so fucking busy that like I didn't even come back to the house. I was gone from like 8 in the morning, and I got home after having margaritas with my girlfriend Viola, and we closed the place down. So then I come home and I'm like, all right, I'm so tired. And then I was awake this morning for recording at like 6. And I'm like, my body is understaffed. Like I need sleep, body, brain. I need you to shut down every now and then so I can like recharge. No, my body said fuck you. So here we are. We're here. We're recording, and I magically put a brush through my hair and I put some makeup on, and that's where I'm at. Yeah. And as far as podcast stuff, I'm after this episode, I'm 3 weeks behind in editing. So it's fine. We're fine. We're totally fine. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Fine.
I even told Erika I told Erika earlier this week that I was like, I have a plan. Wednesday, I'm going to get this episode done. And then Thursday and Friday, I'm going to get this episode done. And then this weekend, we'll record again, and I'll have that done by like middle of next week. I don't even have that first episode all the way done. So I'm like,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Oh, yeah.
We might have a week here and there that we just put a recording out that says we've been understaffed. Have a great life. Like, sorry.
Yeah. I do the same thing because I dance 3 nights a week. I know I say that every time,
Yep.
but like I don't think people realize
It's a lot.
it is a
It's
lot.
a lot.
And also, I have therapy on Mondays, so I get home and I'm like, I just had my feelings
Mentally
hurt.
cannot.
Um,
Over and over and over. But we recommend therapy for everyone.
Yes,
just so you know.
do it. Yeah. It hurts so good. And then I have 2 weeknights off a week where I do things, and I have other like research. Like I'm like, oh, I'm going to do all of this research for all of because it takes me, depending on the project, it can take me a long time to do the amount of research that I want to do, or just like reading, because I read a lot of like feminist nonfiction books, but you have to read those books, and it can take like, you're not going to put all that stuff in the episode, but like it just sort of feeds my overall like understanding. And also I I build resumes for people sometimes. So if I'm doing that, or like I'm looking at somebody's resume or whatever, like I also have that, like I just, not to mention my dog, who is a menace. And it's just like, there have definitely been times where I've come
Rocky.
home.
I just can't with him.
Dude, I've come home and he's like made a mess, and I'm like, I'm going to deal with this tomorrow. Like, it's like I get home and it's 9 o'clock.
And it's okay to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. Like that chewed up piece of Tupperware will be there in the morning.
Yes, it will. And that piece of trash mail doesn't need to be pulled out of the toilet right away. I can't believe he did that. I'm legitimately, that's bizarre. That's very bizarre behavior.
Yes. What is going on in that big dumb noodle of his? Well,
while we're still cognizant of what's going on today, because like my brain is just nuts. What is today's episode about?
Oh, we are talking about compliments, specifically taking a compliment and then some bad compliments, and how it sort of feeds into like dating and just like being a person. And when people are like, wow, you're good at this, and you're like, ew.
Stop.
Yeah. Disgusting. And also, as usual, we did all of our research this morning because that's the type of people that we are. But we're also perfectionists. So did we do a ton of like academic research? Of course we did.
Fact. And I will say, like on the understaffed level and like, you know, getting our shit together enough to at least meet weekly to like record, and we still talk business and we still talk personal stuff and whatever. Whoever has my little understaffed voodoo doll, I need you to like give it a little smack on the ass and kiss her on the forehead, because I need that too. Like,
Maybe a little back massage.
that would be super too. You know, that would be super too. Maybe make her sleep on a regular basis. That would be top.
At the same time, every day.
Right. I feel like that's asking too much at this point. Too much. I don't even know what that would feel like.
Hello, this is Rue and Willow with the Oh, Fuck Yeah, with Rue and Willow podcast. I'm excited you're here again. Always, I'm excited you're here. When I come to my podcast, we talk about sex. We talk about sexuality. We talk about better sex, erotica, all kinds of yummy stuff related to sex and sexuality. Get entertained, improve your intimacy, and get advice to harness your empowerment. You have the tools right in you. Just get the advice. Listen to my interviews on Fridays with experts, doctors, professors, personalities, people who are free and open and have great things to say. And on Tuesdays, I have erotic fiction. Find me on all the podcast apps. Come today. Don't forget to come today. Enjoy your body. Give yourself that amazing experience of orgasm where you can imagine how wonderful that will feel. All of those amazing hormones flooding your body, making you feel exhilarated, amazing, incredible, like never before. Reach for it, take it, baby. Make yourself come today. You have an amazing day. Love ya. Oh, fuck yeah. Bye-bye.
God, compliments. We talked about that last week. We did talk like, because that's one of my, I would consider a toxic trait of like somebody being like, oh my God, like you're so cool. And I'm like, happy birthday. Like, I don't, I don't,
Yeah.
how do you react to that? Like, it's awful. It is, and it's funny because there's times in therapy that they're like, oh, someone who is complimenting you, that's a good thing, that's a good thing. You have to react appropriately. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that, and then they talk about like, and I know we bring it up in a lot of episodes, but we talk about like childhood trauma and how, as a kid trying to reach out for validation or compliments from your parents. And it's like, that was non-existent, and then you work your ass off to just get that little ounce of satisfaction from them. And that's what you do. Like, so that's, if we're looking at me being having the work ethic that I do, it could have been what how I was raised and the environment that I was in. But then it's like, now as an adult, if I receive a compliment, I like shut down. And what I actually found, so like receiving a compliment, there's actually research on like if someone compliments you on your body, on your appearance, on whatever, for a person who struggles with that, there's actually negative psychological effects that are happening, where if you are not used to receiving compliments, or you're not like psychologically prepared to receive compliments or respond to a compliment, and say someone that compliments you on your appearance, like, oh, you look really lovely today, or oh my gosh, that outfit looks fire, you as the receiver immediately think that they're lying, or you start like internalizing it where you're like, oh my God, they're complimenting my outfit, but there must be something wrong. Or if they're complimenting like, oh wow, like it looks like you've really been working out a lot lately, like I can tell that there's like changes, I'm like, fuck, like I'm not working hard enough, like it's like that weird, so then in some of the research, it states that people who can't accept compliments have really low self-esteem. And I hate that. I hate that as an answer because I don't feel that that's entirely correct. Like, are there aspects of my life, my body, my work, my world that I have low self-esteem on? I think everyone has that to a certain extent, right? And yes, of course I do. But like, I've lost a little over 150 pounds in the last couple of years. I have a regular workout regimen. Like, I've been kicking ass as far as like getting my health back on track and like my eating habits. And I feel amazing. But like, when someone says, "Oh my God, like, you look really great. It looks like you've, really been toning or whatever." I'm just like, no, it doesn't. Like, no, what? No, that's a
Yeah.
lie. And I don't understand that. I don't understand why, because I feel amazing. And when I look in the mirror at this new outfit that I buy, or like this new pair of shoes, or, cute pair of jeans that are a size smaller than I'm used to wearing, I fucking feel great. But if someone else says that to me, I'm like, what? No.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's weird that there's, that the low self-esteem is linked to that. And I don't feel that that's entirely correct.
I agree, because if I'm just like sitting at home or whatever, like I don't feel like I have low self-esteem, but I'm the same way. If somebody compliments me, I'm like, I automatically assume they're lying. I absolutely am that person, or they have some kind of ulterior motive. But I also, like, I have probably a couple of times like lost a lot of weight and then gained it back and then lost a lot of weight. Where I am now, I'd like to be a little smaller, but overall I'm pretty happy with like if I stayed this size, I don't look in the mirror and be like I don't feel unhealthy. Like I can dance for, I can do all the things that I love to do. Like I can go hiking and I can dance and I am grateful for my body in that sense. But like if I lose a lot of weight, I'll look in the mirror and I still think like I still look the same in my head. So like I have to like look at pictures side by side or I can't see it. And that I struggle with a lot. But I also, I don't know. It's this whole, I think it's also hard because it's like, I don't like being objectified. And if somebody gives me a compliment, I automatically assume they're lying. But when I was single, like I used to get male attention all the time. Like I still do to like a lesser extent because I don't go to like bars and stuff. But like that has never been an issue for me. But I still am like, oh, I always just assume that they have low standards. And that's why. Not because I am attractive or like they would want to be around me for whatever reason. Do I think I'm ugly though? No. Absolutely I'm not.
No.
It's just like
No.
when I'm confronted by it, I'm like, why are you saying that?
Yeah.
So I'm always like, tell me something
And it's
specific.
not,
You can just be like, you're hot. You have to be like, the way that this one curl does this thing, I like that. I'm like, okay. You have to like prove it.
well, and like, okay, I losing a bunch of weight, right? Like, I absolutely know the feeling of like when people at your job or people in your like personal circle are saying like, girl, I can see it. I can see it. And then I look in the mirror and I'm like, I see nothing. Like, I don't see any changes. But
Yeah.
I look at myself, every single day getting ready for work. And like, I don't see those minimal changes. But for people who, maybe they only see me once a week or they see me once a month, they're like, holy shit, there's a change. Right.
Mhm.
But what I've found too is like, we've talked about this on previous episodes, but like I have a large behind. And so I like, doing squats and working on glutes and working on lower back and like trying to like actually target specific muscles in different areas. I, like I fill a pair of jeans pretty fucking well. And so when someone compliments that, like I know that that is an absolute fact because it's been that way since I was like 13. Like I've always filled out a pair of jeans, but like when someone is like, oh my God, like you're I can, I'm starting to see your collarbone a little bit more, and like you're wearing outfits that are like complementing your waist a little bit more. And I'm like, why are you saying that? Like what,
Mhm.
And like in my head, I look in the mirror before I leave and I'm like, yeah, girl, get it. But then I get to work. And it's not that I'm like waiting for people to see me. That's not it at all, because I have a job to do and I like my job and I'm comfortable. It's my own little like atmosphere in there. It's weird to be between a rock and a hard spot, because how do you appropriately respond to that without also being so cocky and confident in yourself and you
Mhm.
sound like a jackass? Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand how
Yeah.
that works.
Yeah.
So another article that I read was that it said that this is from the Harvard Business Review. It says, in a study of more than 400 people conducted in Boston a few years ago, nearly 70% of people associated feelings of embarrassment or discomfort with recognition or receiving a compliment. So, like, it's a bit, what it goes on to say is it would be easier to attribute our discomfort with praise to low self esteem. However, it's a bit more complicated than that. In the words of a psychologist, an author named Guy Winch, he says people with low self esteem are often uncomfortable receiving compliments, but not everyone who is uncomfortable receiving compliments necessarily has low self esteem. So then the writer goes on to say, like, I've watched some of the most confident CEOs squirm in their seats when caught off by someone's praise. And the there's different stages of people who, like, if you're in an unexpected situation, the article goes on to say that there's different stages when you're like surprised by praise. And so, like, if you're looking at someone who enjoys surprises, right? Who like gets amped up and is genuinely surprised and has a great reaction. Surprises can bring joy and excitement, but for some people, emotionally pleasant news can be cognitively intense. So it's like how your brain reacts to, a birthday surprise is obviously going to be different than someone being like, girl, you look fire. It's going to be different. It's considered an intense emotional experience. So it can be uncomfortable or destabilizing is what this says. So deflecting others' praise by quickly blurting out one of the awkward responses that we've talked about several times, it may be our unconscious way of trying to regain control in what feels like an emotionally vulnerable situation, which all like fully resonates with me. Fully relatable, got it, understood. And a lot of times when this particular compliment or this particular article, I'll link in the show notes, but it's like it talks about different responses. So in the stages of being surprised by this intense, compliment or praise from someone you work with or someone that's in your personal circle, there's the sarcastic answer. There's the, oh, it was a team effort answer. There's the, like, oh, well, sometimes I get the job done, like whatever. Or, we talked about, someone being like, oh, you look fantastic. And I'm like, happy birthday, Merry Christmas,
Mhm.
like cool. So I can kind of see that where like for me, it's absolute sarcasm is the response every time, where I'm like, uh, okay, but that's my way of like taking control over my own emotions to just like reel me back in, because my
Mhm.
brain does get caught off by that. And that all kind of like circles back to childhood trauma and like
Mhm.
needing that validation from someone in my life. And now I don't know how to handle that all the time.
Yeah. For me, it's absolutely like I do not like surprise vulnerability. Like I as an adult, I try to be more okay with it, but when it has to do with me specifically, I'm like, I am not going to put myself in a position where you get me to be vulnerable. I just am not going to give that to you unless I
Mm-hmm.
really, really know you and I
Mm-hmm.
know that you're not going to do that. So even if somebody's like, oh, wow, like you look really good or whatever, in my brain, I'm either automatically like, they're probably lying. Like, obviously they don't. Or it's like, I can't just be like, oh, thank you. I worked really hard. Because I'm like, I'm not letting you that I worked hard on that. Like, I'm not telling you I'm not giving you anything, which is a problem. And it's absolutely left over from when I was like 15. I'm working on it. But I think it's
we all
also,
are.
yeah. I think it's also, there's a lot of like, for me, for sure, when I was definitely not so much when I was in my early 20s, but definitely in high school, like all my friends were shorter and skinnier than me. And like definitely when I turned like 21, 20, 21, and then 20, like right before I moved to Washington, my best friend was like 100 pounds and she was adorable. And like we were really good friends and like she never said anything to me about it, or it was never a thing between the two of us. But if a guy came up to our table, I knew it wasn't because he wanted to talk to me, which really sucks because it's literally just because the two of us were
Mhm.
together. Like if I was by myself, like I moved back to my hometown, I didn't have that problem. And like where I live now, I don't have that problem. So I don't
Yeah.
think I think it was definitely just like a comparison thing, and more on my part, I think too. Like cuz even I don't know. I feel like different places too like have slightly different body standards. Like I
Mm.
here in North Carolina, no one is super skinny, or like it's just not necessarily valued that much.
Yeah. Well, and the times change,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
So when we were still high school, just out of high school, college, the societal norm was that you date the real skinny whatever. Now, obviously that's not everyone. Like that's,
Mhm.
more of just like an overall kind of umbrella type of thing.
Mhm.
But that, that's what we were kind of used to. And so like I've always been, as my mother would like to say, big boned. And like, first of all, I fucking hate that phrase, but like I've
Same.
always been, big boned. I've never been the skinny girl. Now, if I look at myself in high school now, I'm like, girl, shut up. Like you're an asshole to yourself. Like you stop. But
Same.
I look at myself now and like definitely plus size and definitely curvy and definitely like doing my own thing. But there is fact to having more self-esteem now in my 30s than I did as a teenager, 100%. But now there's also that societal change where it's more acceptable to be curvy and delicious, and we have these role models like Nicola Coughlan and Lizzo and like all of these beautiful, beautiful women that are like out there and fucking proud of it, of being curvy, of being delicious, and like not, they're in the spotlight. Whereas I'm just like in little old fucking bumfuck Egypt, Missouri, that like, nobody gives a shit. So
Mhm.
like the confidence level is different too when it comes to like the life experiences that you have over time and the environment that you are exposed to, but also like I think it's hard for some people to admit, but like there's so many societal influences when it comes to like movie stars and big music artists and all of these things, that like a lot of that stuff trickles down into,
Mhm.
the average everyday Missouri small farm town, especially
Yeah.
even like where I grew up in Iowa. When I go home, and this is a little this is on a cocky level. When I go home, which is rare these days, but when I go home, people are actually stopping me to be like, "Oh my god, who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm fucking from here. Calm down." And it's obviously it's not like that, but like if I go out to the bar, people are coming up to me that I knew in high school that we never interacted because I was not on their fucking level. And I'm like,
Mhm. Get out of here.
"Okay." You know? Yeah. So I enjoy the dynamic difference because it's almost like a power play for me when I go home,
Mhm.
because I'm like, I know I look good, you know? But then in those situations, if I'm complimented, I'm like, I know. But in my everyday environment, that is
Mhm.
like where I live and what I'm doing and whatever, I can't.
Yeah.
It's not fucking possible for me to take a compliment like that. I don't know. I don't get it.
I'm sure there's some kind of psychological reason, but I'm like you. Like if I'm in my hometown, I don't live there anymore. I don't go there that often, so it's almost like there's no social consequences to however I am. Or like when I travel, I can be whatever version of myself I want to be because I'm never going to go there again.
Yes.
And that's part of why I like to do it so much, I think. I can go and I can dress however I want. I can change my style or what, which I usually don't because now at 34, the way that I dress is the way I always wanted to. I just never did for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Mostly because, let's be
Yeah, yeah,
honest,
yeah.
until like 5 years ago, the variety of plus size clothing was trash. Like we had Lane Bryant and Torrid, and they were like, "Oh, you don't
Yes.
like mom jeans and lime green pantsuits and Disney characters on every single t-shirt?"
Lime green pantsuits. You're not wrong. You are not wrong. And also
Also, can
Torrid
we get rid of the
was
cold shoulder,
much
please?
more of like, first of all, fuck you.
No, the ones where the
Um
hole cut out. We don't need it anymore.
oh
The big
yes.
off
No.
shoulder,
No, 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 no.
fantastic. Love that. It does not we do not need we don't need those anymore.
Also like Torrid at the time, 5-10 years ago, even when we were in high school, Torrid was like all heavy punk rock. And do not get me wrong, that is a vibe that I absolutely love, and I have several pieces like that in my fucking wardrobe. But also I want the cute pantsuit and the nice blazer that goes with a good pair of jeans, and I want the nice pair of jeans that isn't just a whole bunch of holes. I mean, do I have jeans with holes in them? Of course I do. But it like now it's they're branching out. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much. And
Yeah.
on a ranty level, because we do this on a
Mhm.
ranty level, can we also lower the price of plus size clothing?
Yeah.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah. Or
Because in general, when
go ahead. Finish your
go
rant.
ahead.
I have another one.
In general, when you look at like Walmart and like me, I like baggy sweatshirts. Baggy fucking sweatshirts are what I want to live in for the rest of my life. Like this fucking top, I think is like a 3X or a 4X, and I fucking love it because it just like hangs. It's beautiful. But this top at Walmart, something similar, is easily $6 to $12 more than just a regular large, medium, small. And I fucking hate that. First of all, that's one of those like self-esteem things that I'm like, oh, to be a chubby kid, I also have to make more money in order to have clothes that fit. Cool. Thank you for that. I fucking hate that.
Yeah. I think Maurice's, I'm gonna call them out. Don't feel
Mm.
bad.
Mm.
Also, I haven't been into Maurice's since I left Missouri. But the one there is, I think it's still set up this way. One half of the store, it's like probably 2/3 is like the regular sizes, and then there's the plus size is on like one wall. They will have the exact same shirt on the regular size and the plus size, and the plus size one is more money. And I'm like, it's not even, oh,
Mhm.
they're similar. They are the same. So
Mhm.
I and that bothers me for a lot of reasons.
It
But
does.
also
Hands down.
I went from I think the largest I ever was like a 2X, almost 3X. Like I was like a size 20, and I went down to a size 16, and I was on the cusp of like 14, 16. The difference
Mm.
between, I probably lost 50 pounds and I went down one size. Like the difference between 2X and 1X is like you have to lose a lot of weight. And then the difference between like extra large and large, not a very big difference at all. It's just so much easier
No.
to find clothes that fit you really well because the difference in sizes is so much smaller. And also, I'm getting ranty, but also they don't change the pattern either. Like once you get to a bigger size, you have to actually change the pattern of the garment or it doesn't have the same integrity. So a lot of cheaper brands don't do that. And that's not even bringing up the variety that we still don't have or the quality that we still don't have. Like how many stores do you like, I'm like, oh my God, it's so cute. And the largest size they have is a large or an extra large. And their pants end at like 16, which is good.
Barely.
And that's not even all the time. And
that's not even talking about the price. That's not even talking about the price differences.
Or stores that they go up to a size 24 online, but they only carry up to a size 12 in store or 16 in store or whatever. Like, yeah.
And then you have to deal with the shipping issue. So then you have to pay extra for shipping unless you buy X amount of dollars worth and you get free shipping, which is a fucking scam in and of itself. So then you pay extra for shipping to get there. And let's talk about, I'm going to say half the time, they ship the wrong fucking items. And then you have to pay more money to ship that shit back or more time out of the understaffed life that we live to get return shipping documents from the company after you sit on hold for 3.5 fucking hours with customer service just for them to be like, oh, are you sure you don't want those items too? No, bitch, it's 3 sizes too small. What do you want from me?
Yes.
Like,
I also have wide feet, and let me tell you how difficult it is to find cute shoes that fit. Oh my God.
We can't.
I am so glad that, because I've always worn Converse. They always fit. And same with Vans. I have Vans, I have a pair of Converse. I'm so glad that those are back in style because I can wear them all the time. I have a couple pairs of heels, but it's hard to find them because they're just like, they're not comfortable. Like boots are a little bit easier, especially if they're made out of like leather or something because they'll like stretch. But like a regular black pair of heels, I have one pair and they look like they are the least sexy pair of heels you've ever seen. Like,
yeah, agreed.
Can we can
we also, this is, yes, the price, I can't even like fucking talk about the price of it, but also if we're talking about calves, like I have a wide foot also, but I can't find a good pair of boots to save my fucking life unless they're stretchy and you have to pay more money for that.
Yep.
Great.
And
love that for me. Not
like they're not cute.
Yes. Yeah, they're not cute. Ugh.
And they're more expensive and they're not made out of leather. They're made of like the cheapest pleather ever. So they last like one season and you still have to pay $150 for them. Like rude.
Fact.
Yeah. I will say on a note, ASOS, which I know you're not supposed to buy from them because they're like Shein and Temu and all of that. They do have really cute heels that come in wide that are like $40. Quality reflects that. So, but if you're looking for a pair of like legitimately like you want a pair of heels to go out on a date or whatever, they got you.
Man. The struggle is real. We are going to have to change topics.
Yes.
What?
I just said my blood pressure is so high. I did look up some bad compliments and I've gotten some too. So I'll share some of them. But also ones that I read online where I'm just like, ugh. One of them, I've gotten this one a lot. I think all women have, from both women and men. You look so good for your age. Excuse me?
Don't Don't
Apparently,
ever say that to me.
right?
Ever.
And this was when I just turned 30. I was like, in my head, I'm like, I didn't realize that when you turn 30, you all of a sudden turn into a sea hag. Like, what?
I mean, there's a piece of me that at 30, I wanted to turn into a sea hag because some people in the world just fucking suck.
That's true.
So let's get that fucking real.
Let me become a siren so I can lure men to their death.
Fact.
Yes, that one I hate. Because why? Also, caveat though, I would like to formally apologize to everyone over the age of like 35 that at 15 thought was geriatric. I remember when my mom, like, I think she turned like 45 or something, and she had like a big like celebration or whatever. And I just remember thinking, like, yeah, like your life is basically over, so you may as well. And now I'm 34, and I'm like, I was such an asshole.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. My oldest sister just sent me a reel on Facebook the other day, and it was like an interview of this female specialist in the Army, and they asked her what year does a person have to be born for them to be considered old? Like, in your opinion, what year do they have to be born for you to consider them an old person? She said 1985. And I was like, this girl is a specialist in the Army and she's canceled already. Like,
Ouch.
get out. Get out.
Ouch. This happened to me the other day, actually, and it was funny. But it was probably the nicest way somebody's called me old. We were talking about Hot Topic, and I'm like, oh, I love Hot Topic. I used to go to Hot Topic when I was in high school. And she was like, oh, when? And I was like, oh, like 2004 to 2006 probably. And she's like, oh, wow. So you're like one of the original, you went to like the original Hot Topic. And I was like, thanks.
Damn it. Damn it.
Or like when
Not
you
okay.
say the year you were born and people's eyes get big. And I'm like, that's unnecessary.
And you're not that old.
No.
You're not that fucking old. Like, it's so bizarre to me. I see reels all the time where it says, like, if you wake up in the morning and you have to crack your back and twist 6 different ways to Sunday before you can even like go to the bathroom in the morning, you know, we apologize. Here's a bottle of ibuprofen. And I'm like, fuck
off. Yeah.
Eat a dick, dude. Like, that's awful. But also, thank you for the bottle of ibuprofen because I need some.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. We're doing our best. Leave
Rude.
us alone.
Yes. Okay, tell me more of these compliments, because now my blood pressure is just yuck.
Right. This is another one that I have gotten personally. I was dating this guy. Also, in my defense, I was like 20. Okay. I'm dating this guy.
Okay.
He's on the phone with his friend, and I'm eavesdropping because obviously I am. And he's describing me.
Yeah.
And he describes me as kind of big, but not bad. The worst part is that I didn't immediately break up with him after that. I did eventually, obviously.
I fucking cannot. I want to punch this guy in the face.
Oh, no, he was awful for a lot of reasons. But yeah, that was one. I remember in my head, it didn't even hurt my feelings at that point. I was just like, are you fucking serious? And I'm surprised because at that point in my life, it would have very much hurt my feelings. But yeah, at the time, I'm like, are you kidding? Like, you couldn't have phrased that any better. Anyway, in hindsight, it is hilarious. But I looked up some other ones.
If that, I here's my thing too, is I hope that we get to a certain level that he like recognizes you somewhere, that he's like, oh, I like, bro, I like dated her back in the day, and you are fucking smoking, and he regrets every single thing he ever did. Like I want that retribution for girls of that age, for all of the men that they were dating, because I tell you what, like dating in my 30s has been better than in my 20s, we'll say, like before I got married. Way better now. Like my self-esteem is better, like all of the things are better, right? Like I have a little more life experience, but like I hope he watches this one day and he's just like, "Oh, that's her? Oh shit." I hope that for you. I really do.
Yeah, I definitely at this point in my life, like, I think, well, also when you're young, A, you don't really know any better. And B, now at this
Yeah,
point in my
life
life,
experience.
like if somebody comes out, like looks at me and says something out of pocket, I'm like, excuse you? Like,
Mm.
I
Mhm.
am a lot more confident in myself and who I am. Like, if somebody doesn't like me for whatever reason, romantically or not, I'm like, that's okay. Like, there are plenty of other people who will, and that's fine. Like, if you're not into me, that's actually okay. If you don't want to be friends with me, that's actually fine. Like, and I was not like that at all in my 20s. And I think that has
Mm.
a lot to do with how I'm less concerned about making other people happy. I still do it, but
Yeah.
it's easier to get myself to the point where I'm like, thank you, next. Um, but here are some ones that I saw on Reddit that were particularly egregious. I bet you were really attractive when you were younger. Right? Um, if I had the chance to fuck you, I don't know if I would be able to stop myself. Uh,
Gross.
gross. I'm like, ooh, that's actually illegal, sir. Please don't. Um, I'd totally fuck you if you lost some weight.
Uh, mm.
If a guy
Oh,
said that to me,
gross.
I would roast him. At this point,
Here's
20-year-old
the thing.
would have been
Here's
into
the thing. Yes. Yes. Me as a person now, I'm like, excuse me, look at your receding hairline.
yes.
Excuse me. Like, when was the last time you changed that shirt? There's a fucking stain on it. Like, probably
Yeah.
from yesterday's food. Like, no,
I really admire the fact that
I
your
have
hairline
come across
is back from approaching women.
mm, I have come across dating profiles where they're like, I'm not into fat bitches. If you're quote unquote plus size or if you're quote unquote curvy, I don't want it. Swipe left. And it's like, you're a tool. You
Also,
are a
you
tool.
don't have to
And
say that.
again,
You can just swipe left
yeah,
because
you
you
don't
don't
have to
find me
say
fat.
that at all. Right. And the number of times, right? Like, I think I see it more on men's profiles, but where it's like, if you're going to catfish me, don't fucking waste my time. And it's like, do you know how many times I have been catfished by men? And women aren't out here like, if you're going to catfish me, don't waste my fucking time. That should just be a fucking standard. If okay, blood pressure through the roof. I'm starting to get pit stains. Keep
I
going.
I absolutely have no faith in it, men telling the truth about how tall they are. I do not believe that they're being honest.
Hands down, that is the truest thing we have ever said on this podcast. In the no, oh my god. All right. All right. Keep going.
I just get this thing where it's like, how tall are you? I'm almost 6 foot. He's 5'8". Wow.
He's 5'8" minimum.
It's like, technically you're right. Technically
That's true. He did tell the truth. He did tell the truth. He's closer to 6 foot than he is 5 foot.
Yep. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And again, like, we're going to find out anyway. And if you lie to us right off the bat, your personality is not going to.
It's no, not at all. Not at all.
This one I gave me chills, and I want to bring it up because I'm like, this person actually said this out loud. My landlord told me that he fantasized about hiding in my apartment and ambushing me when I came in when I got home. She's like, he had a key. I moved out the next week. I was like, ew.
No. Straight to jail. Like a legitimate straight to jail. Absolutely not.
Yes. Like, why would you say that out loud? What? I also caveat, this isn't necessarily a compliment, but I definitely remember like receiving bad compliments or like men saying things where I'm like, why did you feel like you needed to say that out loud? Like there's one time I remember specifically, and I haven't been to a bar. I haven't been to a dive bar in a very long time. So maybe this is still the same. I hope it's not. Because this was like 15 years ago. I'm at a bar and this guy is like, hey girl. And I'm like, I'm actually fine. I have a boyfriend. He's right there. See that guy right there? That's him. I'm good. And he's like, no, he's home with me. And I was like, no. And he was like begging me to go home with him, which is unattractive anyway. And I was like, no. Also, caveat, why do you want to have sex with someone that doesn't want to have sex with you? I don't understand that. But anyway, going back to my story. My then boyfriend, now husband, comes back. He comes in and he's like, hey man, like, what's the problem? And he's like, oh, I didn't realize that she belonged to you. First of all, you're making me uncomfortable and you apologize to him.
Also, I'm not a fucking pony.
Yes.
Like, what? He doesn't own me. I'm not a fucking piece of property. I'm literally standing right here telling you no.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. And me saying no, one of my friends, she actually was like, she used to be like, no, I have a boyfriend, even if she didn't. And she stopped. She was like, no, whether she had a boyfriend or not, because she was like, I'm not using that as an excuse. Whether or not I have a boyfriend has nothing to do. I am making that choice. My reasons are not your business.
Correct. Yeah.
But
I mean, it's a double-edged sword too, because like I used to bartend when I lived in Houston and also Alaska. The number of people, even if because I wasn't engaged or anything, but the number of times that I felt the need to wear a wedding ring, a fake ring on my wedding finger to be like, I need you to stay the fuck away from me. The majority, the answer is the majority, you know? And I was single, Texas and Alaska for most of Alaska. And like, no, the men, not all men, I get it, not all men, but men can be really fucking disgusting. On top of that, and this is an Alaska thing, in my opinion, because before Missouri, Alaska was the last place that I was dating. The number of soldiers that you would come into contact with that would say, oh, I jump out of helicopters for a living. No, you don't. Like, some of them, yes. Yes, some of them do. All of them, the number of, and I'm going to say boys in that bar in a weekend that all of them were like, I jump out of helicopters. Bitch, no, you don't. And now, granted, at the time, I didn't know as much about the military, but I have a brother who's in a unit that works with helicopters. So, like, I knew a little bit, you know, and I know more now. And so if somebody says that to me, I'm like, oh, what unit are you in? Because I know, you know, like, idiots.
Yes.
And okay, this is gonna sound brutal, but when you're just trying to smash, right? You're just trying to bang, you're just trying to get somebody in the sack, whatever fucking analogy you want to use for it. You're gonna lie. You're gonna lie about whatever it is. You're gonna lie about your height. You're gonna lie about how fucking big you are. You're gonna lie about how skinny you are. Like, you're gonna lie because you're just trying to fucking, there's an end game to that, right? That there's a goal in that sense. But like, me in the current dating world, that's not what I'm looking for anymore. And still, the number of people that, like, if you're open and you're like transparent about like, I'm looking for something long term, and the number of people that are like, yeah, okay, but do you still want to, like, you know, Netflix and chill? No, gross.
Yeah.
Gross.
Also,
that's 1,000% why I will not say that again.
I said I can handle that myself.
For real. That is also hands down the reason why I will not date a trucker. The number of people that I have matched with that are truck drivers that are like, oh, come see you when I'm in your city. Okay, so if they're doing that here, they're doing that in every fucking city that they roll through, right? And on a probably too personal level, my father was a truck driver and he was a cheater. So I'm like, you could be the most upstanding guy I've ever met. And if you're a truck driver, the answer is no. Don't care. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel the same way about a lot of things. Like, whenever I asked a guy to like wear a condom, they're like, no. And I'm like, if you aren't using it
Disgusting.
with me, you're not using it with anyone else.
Yep.
No, thank you. Also, we will save this
Please
topic
get
for a
out.
different pod. But that question is not just about that. There's a whole lot of other things that goes into it. But yeah, it's like, what again, it goes back to like, why do you want to have sex with somebody who doesn't want to have sex with you?
Yes.
Why?
Solid question.
Also, men, I'm gonna need you to do better just in general, because I feel like you think that like we just are just ravenous for you. It's not just the physical part that we want. So if that's what you're banking on, you're not as good as you think you are. I'm just saying. PSA.
Now, to be fair, there are some women out there that are also on that level of like not needing anything emotionally. And like, been there. Post-divorce, I just needed a physical fucking release. That's, you know, let's go. Like, I don't fucking need whatever it is that's coming out of your mouth. Don't need that. Your tongue, sure. The rest of it, no. Sorry. I mean, it's factual.
Well, we all know how I feel about that. So
So I'm getting to that point now, like, you know, a couple years post divorce, and like looking for something with a little more substance where it's more intellectually challenging and not just physically challenging. Because again, like, getting a little more into working out and being outdoors, like hiking is like my favorite fucking thing right now, and like it has been for since Germany, really. Like, that's where it kind of opened up my eyes to being a little more out in nature and like and exploring a little bit more and seeing some more, you know, sights and things that I just never really thought about. I also need someone to be down for that, like someone to go with me and go on adventures and whatever. So it's not just like, on a sexual level needing that effort, but also on an intellectual and physical level of like being together in different places. It might not be things that they enjoy, but also I'm going to do things out in, like my people who really enjoy sports, right? Like I'm not a huge sports person, but if you have a team that you really love and you want to go see them and you've invited me to go with you, I will go with you 100%. But also on the flip side of that, if I want to go hiking and hiking's not your favorite thing, I still want you to go with me so we can spend that time together. Like it's not just so the effort part of it is really where this conversation like hits home for me, because it's text messages, not that hard. Picking up the phone when you're driving to work and you have a few minutes, like it's not that fucking difficult, right? Now, granted, going hiking or, traveling or whatever, obviously that's a little more effort. It's a little more time consuming, but like there's more to it than just fucking let's go back to your house and smash. Like it's there has to be more. There has to be. And if that person's not willing to get on that level, then deuces. See ya.
Yeah.
Have a great life.
And so definitely when I was single, I very much was like, I needed to be validated. Like I needed to be validated as a person. So I definitely wanted more, even if it was just like a one-time thing and I knew it was going to be a one-time thing, or I knew it wasn't going to turn into anything else. I still needed some
Absolutely.
kind of like not necessarily like boyfriend stuff or whatever, but which I don't like. I don't like that. Like certain people have this is what I want for the whole experience to work for me. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. Just say that. But for me, it's like I think the best analogy that I've ever heard for it is like when you go out to dinner, the experience starts when you get in the car. Right? And for
Yeah.
me, it's like that. So even if I
Yes.
never go back to that restaurant again, I still want the whole experience to be good. I still don't want to feel like I was tricked or lied to, or like, I still want to feel like you genuinely enjoy me as a person, other than just wanting to have sex with me. And that does not mean we have to be in a relationship. It doesn't mean that we have to have sex ever again. It doesn't mean that we have to stay in touch and you have to text me all the time. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that you treat me with respect. And I get enough of what I need so that, when we do have sex or whatever, like I have a good time and I don't feel like gross and shitty after. But that's just me. Other people feel differently about that. And like,
yeah,
you should just be able to like articulate, like, I guess it's like, I don't feel like I should have to justify why I want those things. I should just be able to be like, this is how I feel about it. This is what I want. This is how I feel comfortable doing it. And if you feel differently, like that's great. But I feel like that just gets lost. Like they're like, I don't understand. Like you either want a relationship or you don't, and it's just so much more complicated than that.
Right. Well, and I mean, we can kind of end the episode with, at the end of the day, if you are able to clearly state your boundaries and your requirements for whatever social situation it is, if it's sex or if it's dinner or if it's a date or if it's going hiking or if it's any of those things, and you can say, these are the things that I need from you. And if you can't provide those, then great. We're having this conversation. We're fucking adults. And this is the end of it. If you can't provide those things, then I'm not going to force it, because if this is what it is on before even day one, then why are you forcing it? Now, on the flip side of that, there's always a give and take, right? Like there are compromises to be made, and there are pieces of effort that if that person says, well, that's not something that I'm interested in right now, but like I want to get to know you and I want to see what this looks like. Okay, there's a fucking conversation to be had. But if you don't initially have some boundaries or have some requirements for what it is that you're looking for or the things that you want. Like, I know for me, there's specific things that I'm like, like the either this is a deal breaker or this is like an absolute like green flag, love that for me, right? But if you're not communicating or articulating on those topics or those ideals that you want for your future, then it's going to be a little more difficult to find someone to spend the time with, to get to know them, to figure out if that's someone who's compatible for you. And like, that's one thing, like Erika and I have had a lot of conversations just like with me in the dating world in general of like, okay, so I met this person and like, there's these things, there's these details. And I'm like, and she is it hurts my feelings, but she is the first person to be like, okay, so what I'm hearing is you actually hate this and you don't want to like continue on with this person. And I'm like, well, and she's like, no. Rewind what you said. You actually fucking hate that. And you're just, so you're being an asshole to yourself. And I'm like, thank you. I'm going to cry when we get off the phone, but it's fine. Like it's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true though.
Yeah. Boundaries are important.
Mm-hmm.
And like dating, man, you guys, I mean, we've talked about it 100 times, but like dating in 2024, it is not for everyone. And there have been people that I've met that I'm like, wow, I don't know who you're going to end up with for a long-term commitment or any kind of like relationship, but it's not me. And I'm okay to see that, but there are a few gems. There are a few gems out there. You gotta be patient.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
You have to figure out you too.
I think also me just being military, like working for the army is like, a majority of my coworkers have always been men because the army is mostly made up of men. So you get a lot more of that perspective, especially. And also, I work in administration. If you on the private sector, if you're in operations or administration or logistics or coordination, those people are almost always women, like almost always, like 90% probably, whereas in the army it's not. So I work with a lot more men, but it never fails anywhere I work. There's always one guy that is like, women are crazy. Every single one of my ex-wives is just crazy. I'm like, wow, every single one? That's weird how that keeps happening to you. Wild.
What's the common denominator?
So that is, I'm like, okay. And caveat, there are women that are like that too, where they're like, all men are trash. And I'm like, okay, girl.
Agreed. There are people that I've met that surround the military that are like, all MPs are trash. And it's like, I mean, I want to agree because of yes, but also that's not true. Like, so it's, yeah, it's the communication. We talk about this a lot. Communication is like hands down going to be the best tool in your fucking toolbox. So utilize it. Get better at it. Take a fucking class. Teach yourself. YouTube University is free, my loves. Go and do that.
Yeah. I wish there was some kind of like, I wish it was normal to have a conversation where it's like, this is what I need to have a good time. And they're like, oh, this is what I need to have a good time. And if they're different, we're like, oh, can we compromise? Or are they just too conflicting? Like, I wish that was normal. So you could do that without like people's feelings getting hurt and I'm saying that for me too. Cause it's hard to be rational about something that by nature is not very rational or that your emotions are not like tangled up in. So I get it.
Yeah.
But it's just like, and also, the research we've done a lot of research on a lot of different things that don't necessarily have to do with what we're talking about right now, but just knowing what I know, that there's just so much that goes into it, like societally, like who there's just so many pressures, and there's so like how it manifests in that also, that has a lot to do with it. And if you don't know that, you don't even realize that it's happening. So I'm going to stop because my blood pressure is so high, and I could talk about this for literal days.
Yes, we absolutely could. And it's the we should have, well, yeah, we're going to do a separate episode on communication. We're
Yeah.
writing that down right now, because
Yeah.
that's communication is like it's what's needed, right? And this is the last thing that I'll say, and I'll shut up. But my friend Viola, she's German, and she is amazing. She's a wonderful human. She's an instructor up at one of the schools, and she is very blunt. In my opinion, she's very German, and it's not true for all Germans, but my first year in Germany was kind of a struggle, because the people that I came into contact with were much more blunt than the American culture that I grew up in, where you're beating around the bush to save people's feelings. And that's not the experience that I had while I lived in Germany. And now that she lives here and we're friends, she tells stories all the time about how, like, she has these students that come to class and they give a brief. And as far as like feedback from the instructors, they're supposed to say, hey, thank you for that question. That's a really great question. Let me answer it by saying X, Y, and Z. And she, when she first became an instructor and she was being told that she has to respond in that way first, she was like, why? It was a garbage question. It was the dumbest thing that I'd ever heard come out of someone's mouth. Why are we sugarcoating this, right? And so one of my favorite things is that when there's like a class presentation, and there's like 5 or 6 people up there giving whatever presentation it is on whatever information, and at the end of every presentation, and this is pretty general for, especially for American culture, but maybe for a lot of other cultures across the world, at the end of the presentation, everyone claps. That's like a normal thing to do. And she gets so upset. She's like, their presentation was awful. There was incorrect information. There was just inconsistency. There was terrible presentation. Why are we clapping? That is the dumbest thing. I'm not fucking clapping for these people. And in my head, I'm like, I love you. I want to be that blunt every day of my life. Every day of my life.
Yeah.
It makes me so happy,
something
because
to
if she were
to.
Yes. And if, like, when she tells that story, like, we even talked about it last night at Margarita's, like, when she's talking about it, her face just gradually gets red, and her blood pressure, you can just visually see, is going through the fucking roof. And I just sit there and I'm like, you're so cute. Like, you're adorable. Oh,
Yes.
God. Yeah.
Good.
But communication at the end of the day is something that I think is a skill. It's just like with therapy, right? Communication is a skill that we can always be working on and building upon. And if that's not even, if especially in the dating world, especially like, getting a compliment and kind of like wrapping this, all together in a neat little bow, communication is something that we can all fucking work on. And it doesn't matter if it's a dating scenario, if it's you are in a marriage, if you are your next door neighbor that their fucking lawn keeps getting so overgrown that it's throwing weeds into your side of the grass. Communication is a fucking important piece of life. Welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Communication.
With that, we're going to end the episode. Remember, merch, very exciting. We are now doing weekly episodes. So just
Hell
you're
yeah.
welcome. You get to have us once a week instead of once every 2 weeks. Oh, I thought I said that wrong, but I didn't.
Hell
Never
yeah.
mind. It's just me in here. Mind
Don't
your
care.
business. Remember to
Book
like
club.
and subscribe.
Book
club.
club.
book club. We have a book club and our Discord. And it's going to be, we're going to talk about our book club on the Discord. All of the information about that is going to be on our Instagram and all the other socials, like literally everywhere. And we really look forward to seeing you. Like and subscribe. Send this to somebody that you think will like it. Because we're hilarious. You're welcome. Without you, we would be potting into the void. See you next week.
Love you, bye.
Love you, bye. I feel like my outros are getting more and more unhinged, and I'm fine with it.